Hi, this is Dixie Massaro from Irvine Valley College. Today we'll be taking a look at Excel's lookup function. The basic foundation of a lookup function is that somewhere you have a lookup table. That table is an organized set of information, much like the sample that we see here. The first column, in our example column G, contains the compare values. This is what we'll be looking up, in this case, the years of service. It's very important that that first column be sorted in ascending order, so you see how it's going from 0 to 7. What we'll be doing is looking up the years of service and asking the computer to bring back for us the recognition award, which is in column H. Or if we're just thinking of the table itself, it's in the second column on the table. It's a good idea to range name the table. Do not include the headings in a range when you name it. So you would highlight the section you see here, which would be from G4 through H8, and then in the name box, you would simply type the name of your table. Once you have that done, then somewhere else in the spreadsheet, we can enter a vertical lookup function, or a Vlookup. You can see that the syntax for a Vlookup is the lookup value, or what to look up, the table, which is our range name of the table that we just range named, and that's where it's to look, comma, and then the column number, and that's what column number out of the table should it bring back. And then the last argument, which is enclosed in square brackets, is optional, so you can leave that off for right now. So if we do an example here, equal Vlookup 3, so it would look up 3, it's going to look it up in the table, and it's going to bring back the second column in that table, or column H. Here's an example. We have a vertical lookup to look up the order ID 10251. We'll assume that our table has been range named table, and we want it to bring back 2, or what's in column 2 of the table. Notice that column 2 is the product description. The last argument, false, says, give me an exact match. In other words, don't try to just guess which it is. If there's not a 10251, then tell me so with a not available message. Okay, so what would be returned in this example? And if you guessed tofu, you're absolutely correct. The computer would scan down column A until it found 10251, and then it would bring back column 2, or the product name, tofu. False says, don't guess. Give me an exact match. Let's try another one. In this one, we'll be looking up 10254 in the order ID column. We'll be looking that up in the table, but this time we're asking it to bring back the third column of information. Notice that the third column of our table is the unit price. So what would be returned? If you guessed 4240, you're correct. It would look up 10254 and bring back the third column's information, or the unit price. Let's try another one. This time we're looking up 10247. Again, we're looking in the table that we had range named, but this time we're bringing back column 4, or the quantity. So what would be returned in this example? And if you guessed 12, that's correct. Notice that the fourth column of our table is the quantity column. Now you can also do a horizontal lookup, however these are seldom used. The table is arranged horizontally, and the first row of the table contains the lookup values. So the syntax would be similar. Here we have an example of an H for a horizontal lookup. It would look up in the order ID column a particular number, like 10247. It would look in the table, and it would bring back the row number, either 2 or 3, depending upon if you wanted the unit price or the quantity. But frankly, our tables are normally vertically oriented rather than horizontally oriented, so this is a very unusual function. You don't usually use it that often. Let's try an example just to see if you got it. So here we're doing a horizontal lookup. We're looking up 10251. We're looking at it up in the table. We're bringing back row 2. Row 2 is the unit price. So we should, if we pressed enter with this function, it should come back with 1680. Let's try another example of a horizontal lookup. We're looking up 10253. We're looking in the table, assuming that we've ranged it. Let's try another example. We'll do a horizontal lookup looking up 10253 as an order ID. We're going to look in the table, and again, we're assuming that this table has been range named table. This time, though, we're going to bring back row 3. Row 3 is the quantity. So what would this function return? And if you guessed 40, you're correct. It looks up 10253, goes down to the third row, and brings back the answer or the quantity of 40. Here's another one. Let's look up 10248 in the table. Notice that there's not a 10248. We're telling it, if it finds it, to bring back the unit price or row 2's information. But we are using the false argument here. The false argument says, give me an exact match. So if you can't find 10248, it should come back with an error message. And it would look like that. $NA, not available. All right, we'll do another horizontal lookup. This time we're not entering the false argument. And if you don't enter the false argument, the exact match, the assumption is true, which means it should get close. So here we're telling it to look up 10248, and we know from the previous example that that doesn't exist. We're telling it to look it up in the table and to bring back row 2. So what's it going to bring back? This time, it just got close. It said, well, 10248 is really close to 10247, so I'll bring back the $14. You can see how important it is to use the false argument when you require an exact match. That's the end of the video on Excel's lookup functions. I hope you enjoyed it.